Everybody feeling happy? Because today I'm going to discuss happiness in the Gurdjieff work. And we all want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. The greatest way to be and to get through our lives is to be happy. And Gurdjieff says in Meetings with Remarkable Men, the fundamental striving of every man should be to create for himself an inner freedom towards life and to prepare for himself a happy old age. Um, but that's right, isn't it? We want to live a happy life, and then when we get to our old age, we want to be happy, not stressing or worrying. We want to spend the winter years of our lives having a happy existence, whatever we want to do, whether it's in our little bungalows, tending to our gardens, or looking after nature, or whatever it is that makes you happy. I know many people of the pensioner age or quite late in their years that like just to sit back and read and do nothing else and go for a nice amble in the fields or whatever. We each have our own style of happiness. But in this world, most people don't seem to want to be happy. People like to be miserable. As Gurdjieff says, humanity enjoys its suffering. It likes to suffer. It likes to go, woe is me, poor me, look at me, look what all the troubles I've got, look what I have to get through life. I'm a bit like that myself when I was a teenager. Woe is me, everything's so bad and depressing. When really we need to turn that around, as they say, turn that frown into a, what is it? Anyway, it doesn't matter what it is. Turn that frown upside down. That's what I was trying to get at. As I was saying in a previous talk, all them kind of thoughts and feelings of ourselves are deep, dense vibrations and are not helping us to develop ourselves and our soul and get to our higher centers. We want to try and be happy, but happy is a difficult thing to get to. What makes you happy? What is happiness? For most people, it's desires. And as many of you know, these traditions say we must not have desires because desires hold us back from developing ourselves. Desires come to wish fulfillment. Then Gurdjieff talks a lot about wish fulfillment. You should be wishing to develop yourself with all your being. It should be the state that you want to be is happy going through life, but at the same time, your main aim is to develop yourself. We have lots of little aims to get us through life. I've said before about the ladder, going up the ladder and the rungs. Those are all your little aims going up. You don't want big rung gaps between the rungs. So we've got all our little aims, and our little aim should be helping us to try and lead a happy existence. So this is also from Meetings from Remarkable Men. There constantly reigned in our family unusual concord, love, and the wish to help one another. Owing to his inherent capacity for finding inspiration in the beauty of the details of life, my father was for us all, even in the most dismal moments of our family life, a source of courage, and infecting us with his freedom from care, he engendered in us the above-mentioned happy impulses. And many people in life don't stand and stare. There's a poem about that of, stand and stare and just look out at what there is out there to make us happy, what nature is, what life is, what wonders this world is. But most people are going around blinkered and too busy looking inward in a dark way. Trying to go through with a carefree attitude, some people say is selfish because they take it too far, or the people see it from the outside looking at people having a carefree attitude that we're being selfish towards them, when we're not being dragged down into their dismal lives. I want to say it's awful, but we want to still be there and caring for each other. We want to help each other, but there's a point where sometimes you have to say you can't help this person anymore because, as I was saying at the beginning, people enjoy their suffering. If people really want to change and really want to get out of a dark situation, then be there for them and help them. If it's going on for too long and you can see they don't really want out, they're enjoying that suffering too much, maybe it's time to let them go or leave them to it and just come back to them later in life. And I'm not saying give up on everybody, but try and look at how different people act with their life or react to their lives, or how they are in their lives, and whether they're acting or reacting, or whether they're enjoying being poor me. I think it was, there is a series of books about self-help books about the poor me, people that like to be poor me, or whether you want to be the kind of person that goes out and gets on with their life and does things. A man is satisfied not by the quantity of food, but by the absence of greed. Happy is he who sees not his unhappiness. And that's from Meetings with Remarkable Men. Quite a difficult quote to pull apart there. So man is satisfied not by the quantity of food. I'm satisfied by the quality of my food. Quality is much more important to me than quantity. I like to have good quality, good food with all its proteins and energies in it, not one that's been mucked about and cheapened so that we can get a whole lot of it. And Gurdjieff talks a lot about quality is more important than quantity, always. And so we want quality happiness. So carrying on with Meetings from Remarkable Men. The instinct inherent in all human beings for distinguishing good from evil in the objective sense was not completely lacking. And therefore instinctively sensing in my activities the living germ of that sacred impulse, which alone is capable of bringing genuine happiness to humanity, they furthered in whatever way they could the process of accomplishment of that which I had undertaken long before the war. Bringing genuine happiness to humanity. Gurdjieff says that if there was 200 awake people on this planet, we would be able to live in a much more happy, settled lifestyle rather than this lunatic asylum, as he calls it, that we live in. And it is a lunatic asylum. People do not use common sense. The people that run all this world and these countries do not really care for anybody else. But if we had awakened people in charge, I'm not saying that they would want to be in charge, but or perhaps be examples of how we can all attain to be, then we would live a much more harmonious and happy life. If we had people that were pointing out that quality is more important than quantity, we would live a more happy life because quality is important. And many people don't understand that. And also the way we live, you know, many people do not have loads of money, can buy that quality things, so need to go and buy the cheap stuff, which has been obviously watered down, so it's not got the quality it should have, so that they can spread more of it around. But if we had 200 awakened people showing people how to live a more happier life, a more happier lifestyle will come from it if everyone could live that way and gave up their suffering and their sorrows and stopped living for their suffering and their sorrows and instead worked upon themselves so that they could know they deserve a happy life. We all deserve a happy life. So it's what we make it. So also from Meetings from Remarkable Men. I shall experience again the highest satisfaction foreordained for man by our common Father, formulated in ancient times by the Egyptian priest, who was the first teacher of St. Moses, in the words, satisfaction of self arising from the resourceful attainment of one's set aim in the cognizance of a clear conscience. Satisfaction of self arising from the resourceful attainment of one's set aim in the cognizance of a clear conscience. So we want to look inwardly at ourselves so that we can develop ourselves. Most people do not want to look inwardly at themselves because it's a difficult thing to do, to look at how we've been in our life and look at all our inner thoughts and our inner feelings and how we've treated people and how we've made mistakes. But that's because we weren't awake. We were asleep when we were doing all those things in our past life, in our lifetime, up until the moment when we suddenly think, I want to do something, I want to work on myself, I want to go forward. So we have to start being aware of who we are. And instead of feeling sorry for ourselves of how we used to be, of, oh, I was so stupid, why could I not wake up? Look what I've done. Instead, we've got to turn that round and think, right, this is my chance to wake up, and this is my chance to work on myself, and I want to be satisfied with the person of who I am. Maurice Nicole talks about in Living Time about living in the now, and living in this now, doing what you want to do, not in an egocentric way, but knowing that it's doing the right thing with your conscience, living with your conscience. And also, if we are living in recurrence and doing this life over and over again, we want to keep living in a negative downward spiral of a now, when we could be living in a uplifting, forward moving now moment. And once we recognize what we want to do, we can set that aim ahead for ourselves and start working on it now, not necessarily ahead, but start it going now. Then we start recognizing who we are and what we can be and how to be happy in our lives, living in the now. So this is from Life is Real. My being is necessary not only for my personal egoism, but also for the common welfare of all humanity. My being is indeed necessary to all people, even more necessary to them than their felicity and their happiness of today. And that's going back to if we were awake people, like I was saying about the Gurdjieff, 200 people were awakened, they could lead humanity. If I had my being and was fully connected with my centers, then I could go forward and show people how to be so that they can develop their being. And that's a hard task to do, to get on with and make happen. But we have that possibility in each of us. It doesn't necessarily have to be me, it could be you. We need to work on ourselves to develop that being inside us. And I know he's saying here about is indeed necessary to all people, even more necessary to them than their felicity and their happiness of today. When in there he's kind of, being a bit tongue-in-cheek of most people are looking, their happiness is about themselves and getting what they want in their lives, where if you have being, you realize you're trying to do something for everyone, and hopefully by expressing that, other people will start thinking, yes, I want to work like that, I want to be like that, and not make it a selfish life. So also from Life is Real, I hope in the moment of my last breathing to experience with no possible mental, sensitive or instinctive doubt the impulse sacred for a man, which was called by the ancient Essenes impartial self-satisfaction. I forgot I put that one in there now. Now I can't remember why I was doing it. So we want to feel that at that moment of death, we felt like we've done all that we can in this life to develop ourselves. We've done everything to make that effort to develop our souls and to contact our higher centers, to create real being. And that would be such a happy way to end my life if I had known that I was working on that, and that when we die, instead of dying like a dog, I'm actually ready to go forward onto the next stage because I've worked on myself and developed myself. And if I don't go on to the next stage, if I haven't developed my soul enough, then maybe when I come back in the recurrence cycle, which I do believe is what happens, then I've got that little bit of extra teaching from this life to egg me on into that next life. Fingers crossed. So from all and everything, that being sensation called happiness for one's being, which experienced from time to time by every free brain being from the satisfaction of its inner self-evaluation. So not in a smug way, but in a happy way of thinking, I'm working on myself. This is a good job that I'm doing on myself. I can do this. I can walk and work, I'm trying to say at the same time, forward. Should be a happy sensation, should be a happy feeling inside ourselves that we're doing this, but not in a, like I say, in a smug way, in a genuine happy way of working on your reason and your being, because you're on that right path and you're making them, like I've said in the past, talk about the vibrations, that the vibrations are not so dense, so they're lighter, so that should be a happier feeling because you're doing the right thing. If things aren't feeling right and you're feeling dense, and dark or heavy, that's because things aren't right. So also from All and Everything, every real happiness for man can arise exclusively only from some unhappiness also real, which he has already experienced. And that's true, isn't it? You know, we need the ups and the downs. We need the downs to make us appreciate the ups. And when the ups are happening, we've got to remember that sometimes there's going to be a down. And it's how we handle that down. And also how we handle the ups. Let's not be smug about it. Let's enjoy it. Without this taste of the sacred being impulse of genuine love, they cannot even vaguely describe that most beatific sacred being impulse in the presence of every free-centered being of the whole universe, which in accordance with the divine foresight of great nature, forms those data in us from the result of the experiencing of which we can blissfully rest from the meritorious labours actualised by us for the purpose of self-perfection. So along with real happiness comes the genuine love feeling, the genuine love of feeling the compassionate love, which is what we're trying to develop in ourselves. And when I was reading that, I was suddenly remembering how so many Gurdjieff people seem so serious, and because they're self-remembering all the time, self-observing all the time. But Gurdjieff used to state we need to have fun, and that having fun and laughter releases an energy in us. It releases all the blocked up energy, the angry energy in us that gets stagnated inside ourselves. And that's why we need to laugh and have fun to get it all out. Otherwise it just blocks up. And I know that for a fact. I know I had a year of not greatness happening, and I got really angry and annoyed with everything, and very little made me smile for a long time. And then I got ill and my appendix burst. And then I was reading in the Buddhist text after this that the appendix is somewhere that holds all the anger. And getting me through that and getting over all that and getting myself better, I was reading Gurdjieff and realising, yeah, I'd forgotten to laugh. I was taking things far too seriously. And I don't mean just in working on myself. I meant the outside world. I was getting caught up in and not getting what I want and things like that. And it just got on top of me. And I held it all in. We must always remember to laugh, to release the poisons that are inside us that come from all the negative things that occur in us when we're having a bad time. So in All and Everything, there's a character called Lectro Hansonen. And this next quote is about what he was saying. Man's greatest happiness consists in not being dependent on any other personality whatsoever, and in being free from the influence of any other person, whoever he may be. And that does not necessarily mean people outside of ourselves. It could be one of the many peoples inside ourselves. As many of you know, Gurdjieff talks about there are many eyes within us. We have many versions of ourselves within us, and we need to get that essence to come out. He calls one of them the steward eye we need to create, so that he can control all the different eyes that take over us. You know, I've used the analogy before of, you know, me and a friend decided to go to the cinema on Thursday, but we've decided this on Tuesday, and it's, oh yes, we're going to do it. And then on Thursday comes along and a different eye in me comes up and doesn't want to go to the cinema, doesn't want to do it that day. These are the different eyes. That's just a very crude example, but you know, part of the work is looking at yourself, all this self-observing, which eye is coming up and working with you at that moment. And it isn't for the day, it changes throughout the day. Different eyes come up for different roles and get in the way of our development. So now we've got a quote from Mullah Nasir Eddin. And Mullah Nasir Eddin is it's a character from history anyway, and used in many different faiths and religions as giving wise words. And Gurdjieff uses him a lot in All and Everything. So Mullah Nasir Eddin said, the very greatest happiness consists in obtaining the pleasurable with the profitable. And that can be seen in the material secular world. We all get happy when we make money. But in the esoteric world, in doing the work, the profit is our development. As we see ourselves developing, that's our money-making scheme inside ourselves, creating that inner body, attaining to our higher selves and developing that soul is all good money spent and good money made from it, because that is the result. And from views from a real world, the chief means of happiness in this life is the ability to consider externally always, internally never. And that's one of Gurdjieff's aphorisms. It's aphorism number 9, it says here. And I've done some videos of the aphorisms in the past. And these aphorisms were all written up around the study house in the Harmonious Institute for Man, Harmonious Institute, Development of Man Institute that Gurdjieff had in France. And that aphorism can be seen as to be the same as, you know, walking somebody else's shoes. Though he's saying not internally, we're not meant to be sitting there, like I was saying before, feeling, woe is me. We can still look at ourselves internally and see what we're doing, but we must always think also for everybody else and what's going on. So this is from Knott, C.S. Knott. One of the great illusions consequent on the organ Kundabuffer is that the pursuit of happiness as an aim in itself is good. If we have a real aim, then we may obtain happiness as a byproduct. And for many people, their aim is to get happy. They think that if one lives a happy life, everything will be all right. Not necessarily. We can live a happy life and things still go wrong. But in our development, we want to work on ourselves and become aware of everything that's going on in ourselves. And as he says, happiness is a byproduct of it. You know, isn't it great to be happy and feel happy from doing the work and working on yourself, rather than stressing yourself out? It's not working, I'm not getting there, I'm not doing it. That's kind of a bit of a negative way of doing the work, because it's one of your eyes trying to stop you doing it, trying to tell you you're not worthy, you're not good enough. You are worthy and you are good enough. And as I was saying before, feeling happy is a light feeling. So if you can work on yourself and you start feeling them kind of vibrations in yourself, you know, it's okay to be happy. It's good to be happy. And even better if you're happy that you're developing yourself. But as I was saying, not in a smug way. Because one of the warnings from Lecturer Hamsonin from All and Everything is, in place of the great aim, Lecturer Hamsonin taught that the chief thing in life was the pursuit of happiness, and happiness consisted in not being obliged to make constant and unflagging effort. So yeah, you're getting along doing this work, and as I was saying to you, you're beginning to feel happy that it's working and you're doing it, but that's not the reason to stop. You need to keep going on and keep working on yourself. Happiness is not the sign that you're okay and you've developed yourself. Happiness is just a byproduct, and we need happiness to keep us going, but we need real effort and real work on ourselves to make it happen. So we have a big smile. Well, it's a bit of a fake one there, sorry about that. I can't just do a smile just like that. Just go and enjoy your lives, but if you really want to work on yourselves, go and read the books and find out the answers that way too. And enjoy yourselves, enjoy life, especially if there is the sign. What if there is only one life and this is your only chance of doing it? Don't get caught up in the negative side of it all. Instead, try and center yourself so that you can see everything from all angles, and it will make life much easier. And as the Joker used to say in the Batman movies, go with a smile. Peace and out.